The Bible warns us against proud and arrogant people. It tells us that these people are not only dangerous and destructive, they are outright deceptive. Proverbs 16:18 warns, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." You see, proud and arrogant people are so full of themselves that there is no room for God. They are so consumed with their own wisdom, their own achievements, their own ways of doing things, that they have no space for correction or counsel. Now, do you know what happens to these types of people? They end up falling every single time. James 4:6, the word warns us, "God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." My friends, God himself will resist you if you operate in arrogance. People who are proud and arrogant are not just fighting against circumstances or people. They are standing in direct opposition to God. This is a battle that will never be successful. It simply will never be won. It is so natural to have the desire to help people. We help the hurting, we lift the fallen, and we strengthen the weak. But we must never allow ourselves to waste time trying to help people who don't believe they need help. Pride is a closed door. If you try to correct a proud person, they will reject your wisdom. If you try to guide them, they will ignore your counsel. And when you try to warn them, they will dismiss your advice. Proverbs 26:12 tells us, "Do you see a person wise in their own eyes? There is more help for a fool than for them." In other words, pride is self-sabotage, and you cannot reserve or rescue someone who does not believe they need saving. I just want to clarify something, however, because some may confuse confidence with arrogance. You see, confidence comes from trusting in God, but arrogance comes from trusting in oneself. In other words, confidence is humble. It acknowledges that God is the only source, while arrogance is self-centered. It believes that success is as a result of personal efforts alone. A confident person will say, "I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me." In Philippians 4:13 it says, "But the arrogant person will say, I did this, I built this, I achieved this." When we start taking credit for what belongs to God, we set ourselves up for a fall, and there is no clearer picture of pride leading to destruction than the story of King Nebuchadnezzar. In Daniel 4:30, King Nebuchadnezzar was a man who had great power, wealth, and influence, yet he made one critical mistake. He took credit for what God had done. One day he looked over his kingdom and says, "Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" The moment these words left King Nebuchadnezzar's mouth, judgment fell upon him. God stripped him of his power, drove him from his palace, and made him live like an animal in the wilderness for 7 years until he humbled himself and acknowledged that God alone reigns. Then there is Pharaoh in Exodus. Moses warned him 10 times to humble himself and to listen and let the Israelites go. But Pharaoh hardened his heart and refused to listen. He refused to submit. He refused to acknowledge God's authority. And what happens? His kingdom was destroyed. It was devastated by plagues. His army was drowned in the Red Sea, and his legacy was no more. My friends, today I tell you, pride can cause a man to ignore warnings. Pride can cause you to reject wise counsel. Pride can cause you to fight battles You were never meant to fight. Sometimes we become frustrated because we keep trying to help people who refuse to receive our help. We keep pouring out wisdom, but it is rejected. We keep trying to lead them, but they resist. We keep warning them, but they refuse to listen. The truth is, you cannot force wisdom onto a foolish person. Matthew 7:6, Jesus himself said, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs, because if you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." Some people are so arrogant that they will take the wisdom you give them and trample it. We must learn that we cannot help someone who refuses to acknowledge they need help. You cannot correct someone who believes that they're always right. And when you continue to try and force wisdom on these proud and arrogant people, all we will do is waste our time, drain our energy, and invite unnecessary stress into our lives. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be harsh or rude to these individuals, but what I'm saying is that we must use our discernment. If we see pride in someone, then confront it with love. But if they refuse to listen, you need to step back and allow God to deal with it. Most lessons can only be learned through hardship, and some will never change until they have been humbled. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a proud and arrogant person is to leave them to their own arrogance. God knows how to humble the proud. I hope that this message meets and greets the ones that need it the most. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.